They've been verbally abused
Are you all dumb or sophisticatedly stupid?
and spat on.
These are some of the videos I've seen online showing our essential workers bearing the brunt of abuse. And I've done a quick search and counted at least 30 recent reports of verbal and physical assaults.
In this episode, I want to find out how bad this situation is. Are these recent escalations a wake-up call for how we treat our essential workers? I'm starting with food delivery riders. Over 20,000 of them are plying the empty streets day and night, delivering food and drinks to us. But 9 days into the circuit breaker, this post by rider Abdul Malik Muhammad Ghazali went viral. It says, "Stop hating on us as carriers of disease or lowlifes with no future." You want us to be more professional? Give us a little respect and motivation. I want to understand what's behind Malik's outbursts, so I've arranged to meet him to find out more.
So thanks for meeting me, man. I wanted to ask you about this post that you put up on Facebook. What made you decide to put up this post?
It all came to a head during the COVID season. I just wanted people to understand what we food delivery riders actually face in our day-to-day job. There was one time when the restaurant takes some time to prepare. The customer, she actually scolded me and she complained to Grab and she cancelled the order. But the problem is that we have to wait that 1 hour for them to prepare the orders because there are so many orders pending during this COVID season. Also, most malls with these measures right now, there's only one point of entry, one point of exit. So now we have to make one big round just to get to the merchant itself.
So that also further delays the process.
Yeah.
Delivery riders are working in a highly pressured environment, and sometimes tempers explode on both sides. This rider was recently arrested for causing public nuisance outside a bubble tea store.
You've been vocal online before. In fact, the last time you were in trouble for posting inflammatory and threatening remarks online. Surely riders sometimes have to take the blame as well.
Yes, of course. There are always bad apples in every situation. But then again, because we are in the line of customer service and we are there to serve the customer, delivery is just part of the job. We are the face of the food delivery platform, and therefore we have to be professional at all times. Even if, let's say, on a bad day, you just meet one customer who is nasty to you, you just have to suck it up because that's how this job goes.
Yeah.
Our food delivery riders aren't the only ones facing abuse while on duty. Safe distancing enforcement officers and ambassadors have also been dealing with persistent lawbreakers.
Now you tell me what should I do? Smoke outside. You shouldn't smoke outside.
There are over 3,000 of them, whose job is to make sure everyone follows circuit breaker rules. It's now over a month since we've been told to stay at home. As we dive deeper into this circuit breaker, I wonder if things have become more challenging. I've arranged to meet Izzat Rusdi. He's a senior manager with the National Youth Council, but he volunteered to be an enforcement officer when a call was made across the public service for people to take on this role. Today, he's letting me join him on his 6-hour shift with his colleague Victor Tan as they start their rounds in Toa Payoh.
Morning, Auntie. Would you like to head home and have your meal? You're not supposed to be eating in public. No problem. Auntie, don't forget to pull out your mask. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Then just
Wow.
drop a reminder to the shop.
That shop looks pretty crowded. So this is a typical shop. It's a small estate, and it's very hard to keep that 1 meter distance, right?
15 minutes into our walkabout, we come across an agitated lady.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. I like to think is you keep the only one who wants to shop in free.
Yeah.
So you have done this to us.
Okay.
There used to be others. Please understand that.
Yeah.
Here we go. When the queue not be that way, but this way. Because when you make the queue that way, anybody with the
That's true.
is being stupid. In case you close both
Yeah,
side shop.
that's an idea.
If I thought I put forward to all the officers with the badges a while ago.
We have to take note.
I'm
Okay.
a Merdeka generation, I say here. We're pissed off.
We really understand for smaller shops it's a bit difficult. Yeah.
And how would you deal with that?
I try to empathize. We have to be understanding, I guess, because the
Okay.
residents are affected by this. So,
Yeah.
And I think their anger or frustrations really stems from a real place. So you waiting for collection for your Grab? They going market, auntie.
Okay.
Take care,
can-
auntie.
The rest of our patrol was uneventful
More things.
until we spotted this woman.
Auntie, I see you again.
Turns out she's a repeat offender.
Go to buy this one.
Okay, okay. Buy ready?
Buy the
Buy ready. Okay, auntie. You have to go home, okay? Auntie, third time cannot, Or
Okay.
third time 300, or you know, auntie. Yeah, that.
thank you.
Can, Auntie, I will come back one, you know. I don't want to see you here, auntie. Don't see me also,
Don't sit anywhere. Go home. So today we encountered one repeat offender. How do you deal with those cases?
So typically, the public will, after the first reminder, they will disperse and they will head home. There will be a handful of cases, I would say, of repeat offenders. You'll see them in the exact spot.
Yeah.
So this is when we give them the second reminder. If they offend again, there'll be the $300 fine.
And what will happen if the people you're fining or reminding get violent? What do you do?
The clear way to proceed is to involve the police if anything turns confrontational or violent.
When things get really difficult, the police are called in. So I get into the thick of the action on our streets. During this circuit breaker, about 20% of Singapore's workforce remains active. They keep the country running while the rest of us stay at home. I'm investigating how badly our essential workers are being treated. I started my journey with food delivery rider Malik. He was so upset with the disrespect he and his peers face that he took to social media to vent his frustration. Despite these problems, the circuit breaker has been a boom time for food delivery companies. It's been reported that online orders have surged by 30%. So, at least Malik and his fellow riders should be cashing in on this, right? To find out, I've asked to follow him at work. And it's not long before Malik's first order of the day comes in. Just as we set off, it begins to pour. But we press on, because Malik needs to get this meal delivered within an hour of the customer placing his order.
Oh, this is a true workout. You can see the breathing harder.
Okay, thank you.
Finally, after 20 minutes and a cardio workout, Malik gets the order delivered.
So that was your first delivery for today. And how much do you make in terms of your delivery fee?
Yes, 520.
Has business gone up? Everyone has the impression that since we're all home, we're ordering more, which means you guys have more business, right?
Not really. Actually, orders have gone down because many merchants have closed. Some of the big players as well, fast food restaurants have closed for this COVID period. So actually business is down by about maybe 20% or so.
Really?
Yes, our trip fares have been going down slowly. And not only that, we also face competition from other, on the same platform, but from other modes of transport. So you're talking about taxis and Grab car, private hire vehicles. They're also jumping onto this food delivery business to stay afloat.
What riders earn ranges across the board, depending on the food delivery platform they're tied to. They could earn a delivery fee of between $5 to $10 per trip, and more with incentives such as surcharges during peak hour thrown in. I want to know what are food delivery companies doing about their riders' falling income. So I reached out to all the major players. Grab declined to be interviewed. Foodpanda said they're constantly re-evaluating their payment structure to make sure their riders are paid fairly, and add that their riders have not seen any reduction in their income since the outbreak of COVID-19. Deliveroo agreed to meet us. I arranged to speak to Sarah Tan. She manages the company's fleet of 7,000 riders.
So I've met some delivery riders. They tell me their income seems to be down by some 20 to 25%. Why is that the case?
What we've tried to do is make sure that since the start of the circuit breaker, we've only onboarded as many riders as we think we need to deliver the increase in demand in orders. So we've onboarded 1,000 more riders since the start of April.
In a way, you're saying each rider is doing more or less the same number of trips as they had before the circuit breaker.
That's the aim, yes. We've actually introduced a new initiative called Cash Out, which allows riders to have access to the income that they've earned only 3 days after they've completed those orders. So this is an acceleration from the 2 weeks that we would have under normal circumstances in response to feedback we've heard from riders about concerns about their financial security.
This is a wake-up call for better pay for them.
The food delivery ecosystem needs to balance the needs of all of the stakeholders. So you have consumers, restaurants, and then finally riders. So in order to change the conditions for any one of those partners, it requires a trade-off in another area of the business. And what we're striving to do is make sure that the entire ecosystem is sustainable.
It sounds like a classic catch-22. Better pay for riders will mean higher fees passed on to restaurants, and then eventually to us, the customer. But I guess I can start to make a difference by leaving a tip to those delivering my food. I've learned that when things get nasty for safe distancing enforcement officers, the cops are called in because they are the ones with the powers to arrest. I want to see for myself how difficult things can get on the ground for our men and women in blue. I persuaded the Singapore Police Force to allow me to tag along with their officers for 1 day. Meeting me are Senior Staff Sergeant Lim Jun Long and Sergeant Tan Pui Cindy. They are preparing for a 12-hour patrol that starts in Yishun North.
Besides doing our day-to-day operations, we also assist in enforcing these safe distancing measures during the circuit breaker. So majority of residents actually understand the need for this circuit breaker. But however, there are still minority of them who are actually not obeying to such safe distancing measures. Yeah, here we know.
Well, this is one of the popular markets, right? Where
Yeah, it's a wet market.
During routine patrols, Officers Tan and Lim would usually look out for suspicious characters or activities. Just as we finish our sweep around Chong Pang Market, things start to escalate.
We actually received a call about one subject believed to be high on drugs at this block over here, one block away. So we are going over to make a check.
Let's go.
Take a leave. Hello.
I've been following Senior Staff Sergeant Lim and Sergeant Tan to understand the new challenges of this circuit breaker. But just 15 minutes into our shift,
We've been told that there's an incident happening, something drug related, just around the corner, a few minutes walk away. So that's what we're going to take a look at now.
Take a leave.
Which floors?
The person is seen at level 7, so we are trying to corner him by going one level down and one level up.
So that he can't come down.
Right, so he can't escape from anywhere. Got one subject, got one subject. Hello? Hello? Yes? You are here for? Walking out now. No, sit down first, bro. You stay back.
We are speaking to a guy over there who looks to be a bit high on something, and they're trying to ascertain what's going on with the situation.
What are you doing here?
So we were the first drive on scene with Junlong and Cindy, and two other officers came along shortly, sat the man down and basically asked him some questions to try and find out why he was out here. I think he was smoking, but he also looked a bit out of it, so we're not quite sure what's going on. And they're now trying to get more information from him. He does live just in one of the units here, so they're reminding him that he needs to be at home as well. Okay, so can you tell me what just happened with that situation?
We interviewed him, he was able to tell us precisely why is he doing here. So after assessing him, making a check on him, he has actually nothing on him. It could be a call of a member of the public suspecting a person to be high on drugs.
Okay, but he did look to be a bit out of it. I mean,
correct. According to him, he actually drank some alcohol earlier.
But you also, I saw you checked his pockets, made sure...
Yeah, to make sure he doesn't have any drugs utensils or even weapons on him. So now my colleagues is actually bringing him back to his house to ensure that whatever he says that he's staying here is actually true.
The incident is now resolved, but it clearly shows me the challenges our police force currently face. They must handle their regular law enforcement and, as I soon discover, a constant stream of circuit breaker offenders.
So where to next?
Still remember the ambassador mentioning about a few blocks away there was one subject not wearing any mask?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we will be heading over there to just take a look.
Is that the guy over there? On the left?
Yeah.
I think he's seen us. The uncle has seen us. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's fast.
So we saw an uncle not wearing a mask, but can't seem to find him. He saw us and he walked away real quick, and now we don't know where he's gone.
Back at the police station, I'm getting a debrief from our patrol officers.
Do you ever feel that you're unappreciated for the work you do?
We don't expect any form of reward or recognition. Our job is to keep Singapore safe and secure.
It's the same as the ambassador who are also doing their job. I don't think they should be subjected to any forms of abuse or even violence against them. And police will definitely not hesitate to take any action against such offender.
Police and enforcement officers are visible to the public. But it got me wondering, what about other essential workers who quietly go about their routines? Since March, Singapore has experienced a serious manpower crunch. Malaysia's movement control order meant thousands of its citizens working in Singapore had to either go back home or were stuck back in Malaysia. One of the sectors severely tested by this situation is our postal service, because about a third of our postal workers are Malaysians. One of these workers is Koh Teck Hock. He's a Malaysian who has worked for Singpost for the past 17 years. I'm joining him on his postal round to understand how this crisis has changed his work.
Hey, can I help you?
Can. I pass the glove first because this one is our PPE.
So do you find that now during the circuit breaker you have to work harder, more hours?
Because now a Malaysian the colleague now come to work.
Yeah.
So work harder, longer, then do more overtime.
It wasn't just the shortage of Malaysian workers that Singpost had to deal with. The National Postal Company recorded 10 cases of COVID-19 among its staff, and by April, some 500 of its workers were either stuck in Malaysia or quarantined. During that time, Teck Hock was working an extra 4 hours a day. This was a pattern across Singpost's workforce, who were turning in 20% extra daily working hours just to keep the service going.
Is it easy?
Huh?
Is it easy for you?
Yes and no lah. I think if I know which one. Oh, imagine this, every morning there are a whole bunch of people sorting your mail all over the country, all the millions and millions of pieces of mail that come in, one by one. If you have me working for you, you'll never get your meal. This is number 23. Let's go. Okay, I don't even know where to put this. Where is Lotus Avenue?
Yeah, this side.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah,
How
no,
come so far away. 7, 8, 9. Okay. So I will follow you in my car.
Okay.
This might be routine work for Tick Hawk, but there's one thing that's always on his mind. His family. He hasn't seen his wife and 3 daughters for 2 months.
Can show you the photo. This is my family photo.
They ask you, Daddy, why you cannot come home?
The children, they're quite understanding.
If this COVID continues for longer, will you still stay in Singapore?
Yeah, sure. I will stay here because I think if you're not job, then you cannot survive. Then how to give your family good thing that they want? Yeah.
I'm back home. My 2 weeks following our essential workers has taught me 2 important lessons. We really don't value them enough, and they shouldn't have to tolerate rude, unruly, and sometimes abusive behavior. To see what more can be done for these workers, I'm speaking with economist Walter Tissera.
So Walter, support for healthcare workers is up, but yet we find that there are other essential service providers who don't quite seem to be getting the same level of support. Why is that?
You know, I think healthcare workers come top to mind because it's a public health crisis on a daily basis. But a lot of our essential services workers are actually invisible to us. Our rubbish is cleared, our estates are clean, our deliveries are coming through. So because they're doing their job so well, we just don't realize they're actually there contributing on a daily basis. In fact, we just don't think about them until something goes wrong.
So what do you think this says about us? What is that a reflection of?
You know, I think the problem is there's a bit of a gap here between the value of the job to society and the market value, which is what we pay them. And I think part of the problem is a lot of us implicitly believe a person's value is measured by their economic success. So we kind of get, suckered into this belief that they get paid badly. And so in some sense, that's equivalent to their value as human beings, when obviously that's not true. But I think that's the problem.
But there may not be much change even after this whole crisis is over.
I think if you want change, each of us as individuals, we have to be as supportive as we can of structural changes that improve both working conditions and pay for these essential services workers. And we have to push for this, even if pushing for these changes comes at some cost to us. I think that's what we need to do.
This experience has made it really clear to me that essential workers are key to our survival. We need their help to get through these turbulent times and should give them the respect they deserve. That's how we're going to get through this crisis together.